Jones of Infowars had gone after Sargon of Akkad, who he calls Sarkadd of Akkad, I think. But it was because Sargon of Akkad was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I believe that Sargon mentioned something about Alex Jones and his, they're turning the frogs gay type of thing. And anyway, so he called him out. I don't have much to add, so just check out the clip and let me know what you guys think. Check it out here.
I was watching a Joe Rogan clip while I was on the elliptical yesterday. Love Joe. And he had that Sarkadd of Akkad guy on, who's very entertaining and funny. But they were sitting up there looking at each topic I cover and then misrepresenting it. I mean, and I don't say that meanly. It's just that's what was happening. And then, I mean, mainly the Sarkadd guy was. Joe's a good friend. And you're like, well, Alex is actually right. There's one species of frog that has been turned trans and gay, and most of them are infertile by one chemical. Yeah, it's benzenine. But, then he projects it onto everything, and this is happening. No, sir, there's more than 1,000 known chemicals that are estrogen mimickers alone in one class. And it's every major mammal species, every major fish species, every major amphibian species, everywhere in the world, even the most remote areas, is becoming trans or is asexual or is totally confused or sterile or literally have sexual organs growing on the wrong parts of their body and are mutated and deformed, okay? Now, I've literally read white paper documents on this for 22 years. So, I'm an expert. But see, in a minute, because someone has a British accent or whatever it becomes a big joke, you see. I want to get the Sarkadd guy on. I think he's entertaining. I think he's a smart guy. But I'm going to go through clips of where he says stuff, and then I'm going to sit here and go, okay, I'm going to come in here with 500 science reports. I'm not kidding. I'm going to print 500 just to be aggressive. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to read him 500 going back 20 years. In fact, I just told them from memory one I said I thought was about a decade ago about shrimp becoming suicidal and psychotic when Prozac runoff just out of the Mississippi River, and it's causing most of the shrimp to basically swim to the top of the birds and get eaten and die. And they're also attacking each other. Now, this is an article from 2010. This is an older one. But there's even older ones that go back to about 2001 when Fox News reported on it. See, I mean, most of this is just mainline news. Shrimp on Prozac are killing themselves. See? It's every species. Fish on Prozac prove anxious, Scientific American, antisocial, and aggressive. And then that leads us to this next little tidbit. This is how, this is the anatomy of disinformation. This is the anatomy of media control. I have Robert David Steele on, who I've had on for about 12 years. He was a case officer in anti-terrorism in the CIA. That's undisputed. He has written a lot of publications, reviewed hundreds of books. He was a well-known lecturer. He comes on, I'm talking about the deputy pope indicted for raping dozens and dozens of young children. Okay, that's a fact. Now, what does the media do when something like that's out? And I'm covering it with a guest. I've had on for 12 years. You can say anything you want about this show. I don't get into UFOs, aliens, and stuff like that because it's a distraction from things I can prove. He says, yes, not only, have they been kidnapping kids. I talked about Dr. Ewing Cameron, who admittedly kidnapped over 10,000 children for the CIA. This is on History Channel. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, took them to Canada, where they had them in brainwashing facilities to literally create Manchurian candidates. You can search engine Dr. Ewing Cameron, Jolly and West. You'll get mainstream news about this. But because I'm informed, see, it's weird, it's bizarre, it's bad. He goes, yes, well, my info is they have taken children for the space program and sent them to Mars. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of people, like the granddaughter of President Eisenhower says that. A lot of people Just because folks say it doesn't mean it's real. But I wanted him back on today, but he canceled, to challenge him on this. Because I said on air, I said, I don't know about that, I don't believe that. But I said, Buzz Aldrin told me some similar stuff about secret stuff on Mars and on the moon. And I said, I don't know if he was messing with me or not, but that got picked up by the press. So we have this huge government history of secret experimentation, everything else going on, lying to us about babies in incubators to get us into the Iraq war, all the rest of it. You should question anything they say or do. But I've never said secret moon bases or secret Mars bases. But what does the media do? They ran hundreds of articles over the weekend saying, I specifically say this. And that Trump's ally, Alex Jones, says this. Now, here's how the deception works. Media Matters comes out, funded by the Democratic Party and George Soros, on record. Alex Jones guessed children have been kidnapped and sent to slave colony on Mars. Okay? They at least had me saying, I don't believe it and I disagree with the guess. They actually got it right because they know what happens next in the media. Trump-endorsed media outlet accuses NASA of operating child slave colony on Mars. So, no, it's not a Trump-endorsed media outlet. I didn't endorse it. So you've got this story from Slate that's a total lie. That's how it works. New conspiracy theory, children kidnapped for Mars slave colony. Space.com. They got the NASA to have a press conference and say, I'm insane, this isn't true, when I didn't say it. Why are they psyoping against me? Why did a CIA guy say something he knew was going to then be blown up and would be hung around my neck? There you go. When all I was trying to do was cover the Vatican and giant child kidnapping operations that are confirmed. Washington Post, no, NASA is not hiding kidnapped children on Mars. Goes on to say, I'm saying that. NASA clarifies, we don't have child sex slaves on Mars. That's how they do this. That's the anatomy, folks, of it. So, we're forcing a discussion about all these chemical runoffs and stuff being added to your water that makes you asexual or confuses areas of your brain to basically manipulate your sexual preference. That's a fact. They don't want to debate about this, so they attack the organization that's been day one exposing it. But guess what? They lost. You may make fun of me all day. I may get ridiculed. I may have libtards point at me in the street and laugh. I don't care. They're victims. I'm the adult. I'm here trying to help them and everybody else because we're in this together. The good news is I'm forcing human-animal chimeras out. Oh, that's the other thing the media did. They mixed in. Jones also says that they've brought the aliens back to Earth, and there's thousands of them here. No, I said, I don't believe we have a colony on Mars, but we've already, with chimeras, human-animal hybrids, created stuff that's alien here on Earth. Then I showed the Smithsonian. Then I showed science. They didn't care. They twisted it all together because they're fake, lying news. Hour number